Hi, I'm Ben,
And I'm Lucas.
and we are two aspiring filmmakers making unnecessary commentary on famous movies.
Each week, we will randomly select a film to analyze, discuss, and review.
We will select the film at the end of each podcast, so you will have ample time to watch the movie before the next episode.
We are slightly qualified film students.
Hello. Welcome back.
To our 11th episode of Slightly Qualified Film Students. Today we are coming in with Where the Wild Things Are, the 2009 adaptation of the renowned children's picture book.
Yeah, directed by Spike Jonze, starring Max Records, who plays Max, coincidentally, and Mark Ruffalo. And also
who's in it for a minute.
And also James Gandolfini, rest in peace, legendary actor. He voice acts Carol, and he's also obviously Tony Soprano on The Sopranos. And this was one of his last roles before he passed away. And he's got a good voice. I liked it. It was a good cast, solid cast.
All the voice actors, actually did all the acting for the characters, too.
Yeah.
Like, they were in costume.
Why don't you read the plot summary right now?
Okay, plot summary. Max runs away from home wearing his wolf costume and mentally travels to an imaginary world where a forest inhabited by ferocious wild creatures crown him as their ruler. I like how this plot summary just blatantly tells you that it's imaginary.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, we're not even going to leave you to interpret it. We're just going to tell you that.
Well, I mean, that's kind of how the book is, too. It's like the book's not meant... I mean, the original book, he goes to his room and then he basically just, imagines him in a jungle.
Yeah.
The book's supposed to be a make-believe kind of world that the sad boy makes for himself. But it's kind of ambiguous in the film. It's not like... Sure, in the plot synopsis, but if you're a kid watching this, it's not like at the end they're like, and it was all a dream.
Yeah.
The kids can still have, their beliefs. But, like we've been saying, this is not a kid's film, or like we were saying before we started recording. This is a pretty dark film, actually. And Spike Jonze has said that it is not really for kids. And I think that was...
when they were marketing it, like if you watch the trailer for this film, you can tell that they're like using all the very philosophical lines of dialogue. They're trying to make it seem a lot darker than it is, and it's clear that they tried to market it for more like older audiences.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I respect that, but also that's a dumb marketing move because this movie made very little money. Because
it made a lot of money, just not relative to its budget.
it didn't make back its budget, and it totally could have if they had gone the more childish route. But I do have a lot of respect for them not doing that, because that would have been a very easy money grabby kind of thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially with a big budget film, it's something you expect them to do. So the fact that they decided not to and were a bit more darker, a bit more like focused on just grounding this film and not making it as just like child friendly. I mean, that's respectable, that's commendable.
I respect it, and this film had a monster budget. It by far the highest budget film we've looked at so far. $115 million is the estimated budget.
And Tom Hanks's production company gave that $100 million.
Yeah.
And then they got $15 million from Warner Brothers.
Yeah. The production of this film was a big roller coaster. Disney wanted to make this film ever since the 80s as an animated film. But they basically just dropped the project, and then Universal picked it up in 2001. And then in 2003, Spike Jonze was kind of recruited for the project, and they decided, instead of going with animated CGI, they wanted to do it live action, kind of mixed with
Mm-hmm.
some animation. And so
Yeah.
this film was a very long production, even once they had the screenplay down. Still
Yeah.
multiple years. Yeah.
And in 2009, the whole motion capture computer graphics on like faces and stuff is a very new technology.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it started picking up at that point, and then we see it used in many of the Marvel films. And really, I mean, they'd done motion capture before, like with Gollum and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But this wasn't really motion capture. They actually had the actors in these giant costumes moving around as their characters.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that was CGI was the actual faces. So they had to invert the faces with CGI make of the faces, and then like move the mouth and the hairs and the eyes in order to show emotion in order to match the speaking. I was like, this is what Cats should have done.
Facts.
Like,
I haven't
come on,
seen
take
Cats.
notes.
I haven't seen
I haven't
Cats,
either, but like,
oh my god, I
who
will
decides
never
to
see
do
Cats.
an entire
should
film,
we put
like-
Cats on the wheel?
just to roast it?
Yeah.
I would totally do that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, do it.
Oh god. Oh
Um,
god. I thought the day would never
but-
come.
Like, don't you think that would make more sense if
Yeah,
they had like,
totally.
it still wouldn't have been, I don't think it would have been a good movie either way, but the CGI would have been less creepy if they were in costumes and all they did was like CG the hair or something like that.
Yeah.
Instead of making it all CGI, then it just is really off-putting to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Where this one, it's like the characters feel a lot more like real. Like it
Yeah.
feels like they're more just like
And
there.
the
I'll talk more about that
costumes-
in costumes.
The costumes were made by Jim Henson's Creature Shop,
Mm-hmm.
which is, that just kind of makes sense. It's like Jim Henson's legacy of cute, furry, child's puppets type vibe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And even though the Wild Things in this the film,
Mhm.
they actually can be almost scary at times. Like I feel like if I was watching this as a 6-year-old, I would definitely be kind of scared of them. But
I totally was.
yeah, I this is my first time watching it, so I couldn't. I didn't
Yeah.
have that nostalgia.
This was like a first time.
Yeah.
This was like a first time watch for me because I know I went to see it in theaters, so I was probably like 6 or 5.
Yeah.
But like, I did not remember anything, like anything.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
just
thought it was
knew I
going to
went to
be
see
more true to the book, is what I was kind of
Mhm.
expecting going into this. And yeah, I mean, I kind of thought these guys were freaky, and there are some dark moments in this. Like even at
Yeah,
test
when he rips that guy's
screenings-
arm off.
even at test screenings, it apparently scared children, because
Mhm.
and it led to a very long delay because this film was in
Yeah.
production for around 3 years before it was released.
Mhm. It's also the fact that like Spike Jonze's cinematography in this film, it's very like gritty.
Yeah,
It's not your usual like big budget cinematography. It's mostly handheld this entire film.
yeah,
And it's like it just feels kind of unsettling, which I love. I love his cinematography.
Me too.
Like in this and Her and being John Malkovich, but it definitely isn't what you would expect going into a film that
For sure.
is based off of Where the Wild Things Are.
yeah. All right, should we do our standout scenes now? What
Sure,
was your
let's do
standout
it.
scene? I'm curious.
Okay, my standout scene was a very small scene in this film, but it gave me goosebumps, and therefore I'm making it my standout scene.
Okay.
It's when Carol and Max are just walking through the desert, that desert area,
Yeah.
and they're just walking, and they look up at the sun, and Max says, "Did you know the sun was going to die?" And it's just like this, and it's like, because at the start of the film, he's in class, and there's just this glimpse of the teacher talking about how the sun's going to explode one day, and everyone's going to die. And it's I liked how this scene played out, because it's really showing child innocence and child, even though he's in his imaginary world with all these things, protecting him from his real life troubles, that still somehow slips through, and he, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he just has the memory of someone telling him the son was going to die. And then the scene just gets really kind of sad, where Carol just is looking up at the sun, and he's trying to cheer up Max. And I don't know why, but that scene really hit me. It just, like, with the music and everything, it just kind of, it was really, really just well done scene.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with, for my standout scene, is the scene basically directly after that, where Carol is showing Max his, like, stick model mountain world.
Yeah.
I don't know, that scene is just really cool.
Yeah.
It's magical. Like, it makes you feel like a bit of a kid when you're watching it. Like, you're just, it's a really amazing looking scene, and it just feels wondrous. And I could have gone with the easy choice, which is the ending sequence here, just because of the tears. Yes, I did cry. But
no way.
Yeah.
Really?
I cried.
Oh my god.
Twice.
Then Taylor cried at Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah, I'm proud to admit it. I'm an easy crier, and bro, okay, how could you not cry at child being hugged by mother after he ran away? That's
what you cried at? Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about when he left the island.
No.
Like when Carol is chasing him.
No. That I thought was kind of
You cried when his...
That I was like, okay,
When Carol...
the sad wolf howl sounds a bit...
Yeah.
No,
You cried when his mom hugged him?
Yeah. That was so wholesome and sad.
I thought that was... Oh, okay. Well, I'll talk about
I
the
literally
ending
don't
later.
even... I also agree. Like, I don't even think it's a great ending, but I just... When I see motherly instincts at work, I get sad. Hits me in the feels. Don't disrespect it.
Yeah, I had the... the little miniature scene written down as well. I really love that scene. I really love the soundtrack to this film, which I'll talk about later.
Me too.
But it adds so much to all of the scenes, and it made me really emotional. And a lot of times where I'm like, why am I emotional right now?
Facts.
This isn't really. There's no need for me. But I think it was the music.
It's okay to be confused with your emotions, Lucas. It's okay.
It was kind of like The Place Beyond the Pines, where
Facts.
it was like.
Dude,
where
this is a good soundtrack.
You're like, why am I emotional right now? But
I actually listened to
soundtrack.
the soundtrack before I even watched the movie, just because my mom
really
showed it to me, I believe, or someone showed it to me, and I was like, this is some chill indie vibes. I like it.
It's the same. She also did the soundtrack for Her, which is Spike Jonze's other film, and they also partnered with Arcade Fire for this soundtrack.
Yeah,
I don't know why I'm talking about the soundtrack right now.
That was like
Arcade Fire.
OG Arcade
I love.
Fire.
Yeah, but we'll talk about soundtrack later. Let's hop into some audience questions.
Yes.
Ooh, we should make like a little riff for when we have audience questions that plays before. It's like a
Q&A. Oh, I see what you... Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
audience questions. Yeah. Okay, audience questions. We have 3. We have 3.
Ooh, nice.
These are all more personal questions. So let's hop into the first one.
Okay.
What was your favorite childhood movie? What was your favorite movie as a child?
Okay, this is gonna sound really weird, but you know what movie I've probably seen the most out of any is this thing that it came out in 2012. It's called Rise of the Guardians, and it's about Jack Frost.
Oh,
dude, I don't know why,
I know the movie.
but I just loved that when I was a kid. I was like, damn, this is fire.
Yeah,
I watched that
I
remember so many
that.
times, and I haven't even seen it since I was like 8, and I probably shouldn't because it would ruin it for me. But
yeah, I totally remember that movie.
That was some heat, and I also I don't know, like every Christmas we'd always watch like the stop motion Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer,
right?
From like the 60s or 50s or whatever. I don't know. That's also super nostalgic. Yeah, I'm trying to like think of other stuff, but even while every kid was liking Home Alone at Christmas, I hated that even when I was younger. I still hated Home Alone.
Hey, you know what? I never really cared for Home Alone either.
There you go.
I just never thought. I never found it funny. I didn't hate it for the reasons you hate it, but I just like didn't. I've never been like a slapstick comedy kind of guy, even as a little kid. So I don't know. I just never found that film.
I just thought
that
I don't know. That movie pisses me off. What were yours though?
Okay. Well, I guess the big one for me was The Lion King. Of course, the animation. The Lion King. I mean, I must have watched that movie like 20 times. Any time. My grandma had it on like a tape, so every time I was over there, I'd watch it.
The Lion King is solid.
Babe.
Babe?
Lion King and Babe. Those were the two.
Babe is actually sad, dude. Babe is really sad.
Yeah.
Babe is kind of dark.
But I don't remember Babe as much. I just remember always watching The Lion King.
I think isn't the ending to Babe, isn't there like a duck, he like watches a turkey like disappear and then it's like Thanksgiving? I feel like that's a scene in Babe that traumatized me.
I thought the pig, isn't the pig about like all his other pigs go to the slaughterhouse and he like doesn't get slaughtered miraculously? Like it's a dark well, pretty much every old children's film is extremely dark.
Dude, that movie is weird. I haven't watched that since I was like 6 probably. Maybe I should rewatch it and just be awestruck by how like dark it is. That's solid.
And then the other because you said a Christmas film, I'm gonna say a Christmas film.
True.
Mine was also a claymation Christmas film, but it was The Year Without a Santa Claus. Oh my god, I used to watch the film all the time. Heat Miser.
Oh.
I used to sing that song, the Heat Miser song, and what's the other guy? Frost Miser or something?
Yeah, I remember that. I feel like my family just had like a box set of that type of Christmas movie, because there was also like The Land Before Time, where and
then they had
they have to like go back in time.
Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Yeah. I feel like there's like a box set or something. And Rudolph's Happy New Year also.
What's the one with the abominable
That's
snowman?
the one I was talking about.
Rudolph?
That's just Rudolph's. Yeah, that's
Rudolph?
Yukon Cornelius and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Classics.
Good times. Some nostalgia thrown at us, and I guess that's kind of related to this film because this is a
even though
film
I don't have the nostalgia, I feel like I would have liked it more if I had the nostalgia for.
I mean, even though I went to see it as a kid, I don't think this film really affected me because I had no memory of it.
True.
Whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think that because this isn't really a film meant to affect kids. This isn't a film that your 5-year-old's going to watch and then want to watch over and over again. It's just not that kind of film.
True.
I do like how this Where the Wild Things Are, though. It's like, even if like a parent went with their 5-year-old, both of them are going to see it in they're going to be watching a completely different movie.
Yeah.
Even though it's the same movie, they're going to be viewing it in a completely different light.
I feel like that's the intention.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah. Especially for a children's film, that's like honestly pretty awesome. Because, usually it's just one way or the other.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. This one's kind of cool. What is your dream location, like dream filming location? So if you could film anywhere in the world, where would you want to film?
Damn. Like in the Faroe Islands, where they filmed that part for like The Last Jedi at the opening, where Rey is with like Luke Skywalker's like hideaway island thing.
Yeah.
That place is like
right.
alien. It looks crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you would use that location. It's just cool.
It'd just be sick.
Yeah, like it's just like
it's
drone
like Atonement
shots.
just using the.
Yeah, I don't even. That's just the first thing that comes to mind. I guess. Also, like I don't know, like for cities like Tokyo.
Yeah.
At like night too
Tokyo would
be sick.
Oh.
Yeah.
In the little street markets.
Mm-hmm. Even though I've never been to Tokyo.
Kind of like Blade Runner vibes.
Yeah, I want to go to Tokyo.
You'd have major Blade Runner vibes.
Yeah, I guess, I'll give those to you.
Yeah. I always thought it'd be cool to film like Eastern Canada, just like up in the like a small town where it's just drenched in snow.
Wow. Okay.
Kind of like
we go from like the most extravagant locations on earth to like Manitoba.
well, like kind of like Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, kind of like
yeah.
that small town vibe, but then just like winter. That small town vibe, but just like drenched in snow.
Damn.
Or I would also like to film.
Land. I watched that this week.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's our little plug that we are going to have an Oscars
ooh, yeah.
podcast coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like where The Revenant was filmed, kind of in the snowy mountains in Europe. I think that would be a really cool location to shoot something.
So some snow.
Yeah. But I agree with you. I would love to shoot in Tokyo in the small alleyways.
And also just Japan.
Yeah.
With just like Mount Fuji or something. It all looks sick. And the trees,
sick, yeah.
Everything there is just...
Get that green bokeh.
Yep. That foliage. Yeah.
Okay, and last question. This one's kind of fun. Hopping into TV here. What is your favorite dramatic television series, and what is your favorite comedic television series?
Favorite comedic television series, IT Crowd. Yeah. Not even competition. I love that show. It's
Never
British.
heard of it.
It's British. Yeah, that's all I can say. Or maybe Monty Python and the Flying Circus. I like that stuff too.
Okay, so you're going real comedy.
I'm going British, dude. I just like British comedy shows. Dramatic.
I have a British comedy.
Dramatic TV. Like, one thing you should know about me is I very rarely watch like a show, like TV shows. I don't know. I guess one I watched recently that I liked was How to Sell Drugs Online Fast. It's like a German TV show,
German?
but I just thought it was shot really well, and it like it has some cool. It just looks cool, and it's like really short. It's only like 6 episodes, but yeah, I don't really watch dramatic TV. I have a life, I can't be watching TV. Because like the problem is if I start a show that's like 17 seasons long, I'm probably gonna end up watching the whole thing and waste a month of my life. So
waste.
I'm not a binge watcher kind of person.
Well, I am.
Yeah, but
So
that's why I'm
answer
interested to hear what your favorites are.
Okay, well, dramatic series is not even a competition. Breaking Bad is my favorite. The all-time greatest dramatic series.
Yeah, okay, I'm changing mine to Breaking Bad. I don't know why, but I literally forgot that existed.
Yeah, no, it's Breaking Bad 100%. But the other series that I finished a few months ago, Mr. Robot, oh my god, this series was incredible.
Damn. My favorite rapper is he's also an actor in Mr. Robot.
Yeah, Joey Badass.
Yeah. Is he good? I haven't seen the show.
He's really good.
Nice.
He's really good. And he's like in a few he's in a fair bit of he's like in a lot of the last season. He's in a fair bit of the first season. Mr. Robot is just incredible, and the ending, oh my god, the ending. I mean, like I'm not.
Is it on
anything,
Netflix?
but people, it's on Prime Video.
Okay, I'll watch it.
Oh, the ending. I mean, Ben, you'll like this show because it is a little pretentious.
I wanted to watch that, but like I said,
it's good. Life. It starts off a little slow. But my god, does it pick up. And the 4th and final season is just like one of the best seasons of television I have watched.
Okay, you're selling it.
Okay, comedy series. Okay, I'm gonna go with a British show also. It's called Fleabag. I recently finished it, And oh my god, this is the best comedy series I've ever watched, hands down. Because
Never even heard of
it's
it.
funny. Fleabag, it basically swept the Emmys. There's only 2 seasons, only 6 episodes in each season, so there's 12 episodes in total, and it ended after that second season because it's BBC and that's what they do.
True.
But it's just so good. It's so funny, super well written, but it's also one of the most beautiful TV shows I've ever watched. Like, better shot than most dramatic series out there. It's it's got the widescreen. It's just cinematic. All the colors popping. But it's also very dark. Even though it is a comedy series, it has a lot of depth and darkness to it, and it's really fantastic, very stylistic.
Oh,
I really
it's the same
those 12
actress
episodes.
as Killing Eve.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
those are my answers.
Might have to check those shows out if I find time in my busy, interesting schedule. Yeah. Well, should we hop right into the review after a quick break?
Yeah, quick break, hopping into it.
All right.
Okay, we are back, and we are
Back
hopping
again.
in right away to our review of Where the Wild Things Are, hopping into story and originality, which is out of 10. Let's do this.
Yes. Well, let's start off with the obvious. This is an adapted screenplay
Yes.
from the children's book.
Mhm.
And, yeah, I mean, I'd say it's a fairly good adaptation. Like, for the directions they could have gone with it, I'm happy that they, went darker.
Yeah.
And they definitely switch up the message,
Yeah.
which benefits them for originality a lot. But I mean, the story to me it's not the strongest sort of message, or it doesn't even really get it across the best. But
Yeah.
I do have major points for what is kind of a kids movie, going for this very deep and philosophical, having these deep and philosophical themes in the story. I respect that.
Yeah.
Even if they maybe was a little too much, perhaps.
Yeah, I think this film is very original because the book that they're adapting it from has 10 sentences. There's 10
Yeah.
sentences in the book they're adapting it from, and they made an hour and 40-minute film. Like,
Yeah.
they had to create so much and make up so much in this film. And I like the direction they went. I like how they characterized all the wild things, because in the book, the wild things don't really say anything. But in the movie,
Yeah.
they basically made all of them kind of metaphors for different people in
Yeah.
Max's life. And they're not all, this is what's original about it, is that they're not taking one wild thing and saying, this represents Max's mom, this represents Max's sister.
Yeah.
They kind of all blend together. So Carol, the kind of main wild thing, could represent many people. It could represent Max's father. It could represent It could represent Max as himself. It could also represent Max's mother. It's meant to represent all these different things because this film is about
But
a
the
child.
goat, though, the goat represents Max, low key.
Yeah, well, it represents
I forget his name.
a certain element of Max. Isn't
Yeah,
the goat Paul
yeah.
Dano? Paul Dano, the goat. I think there were elements to the story that hit me, but yeah, I agree with you. The message isn't really there. Also, I don't know. I felt like, I mean, I guess more of my complaints are more about the screenplay than the actual story. So I guess
Yeah, same.
But originality-wise, this film it's pretty... I actually think this is a really good adaptation because, I mean, I was talking about
Same.
book adaptations, and I like when movies, just kind of ignore the source material and do their own thing, which this film definitely
Yeah.
did. And also the fact that it's a Warner Brothers film, it's a big budget film. Usually they wouldn't be able to do this, and Spike Jonze was just persistent and, did his own thing, which I really like. And yeah, I don't think this film is like great story-wise. It is just, following the structure of the book, but I do like all the elements they've put into it, and I do think it's a pretty good adaptation. What'd you give it?
Yeah. I gave it a 7% out of 10. Yeah, I give it a couple extra points for a good adaptation. But yeah, overall, I don't really think the story is that amazing.
Okay. I give it a 6 out of 10. Pretty
Fair
close.
enough.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Let's hop into Beginning, which is out of 5.
Yeah, the beginning. It's very predictable, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just really is at the end of the day. And it all happens very quickly. Max has his little biting incident and runs away at approximately 14 minutes into this film.
Yeah.
And then he returns with about a minute left.
Right.
So you got 15 minutes total of Max not in his imagination land.
Totally.
And I just think in the beginning it's very, very quick, everything that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I also just got really pissed at Max. Like, he's just a annoying kid. And like, I get that that's kind of the character, but
yes,
damn, I was just like pressed. I was like, oh, I would nail this kid with the snowball. Nah.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I don't know. I think the beginning is pretty cliche, and it does a pretty good job of setting up Max's I guess emotional headspace kind of heading into his freak out.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like they could have spent more time, even just like in one more scene maybe.
Yeah.
Of him and his mom interacting. Just because, they throw in this him telling her a story and you get some sort of relationship there, but it just very quickly becomes them screaming at each other, and then he runs away.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also not really sure if his dad is dead or just left. Like, it's just kind of like thrown in there.
Left. I think that's
his
kind of
dad's
like
not there.
That whole interaction with Carol and KW when they're like yelling at each other. I think that was meant to represent kind of like his dad leaving. At least that's how I interpreted it. Yeah.
I guess I wasn't really looking at it that deeply for metaphors in the Where the Wild Things Are. Perhaps this is my bad.
I was really analyzing this film.
I didn't really think the beginning was very good.
Yeah, I mean, I found the beginning kind of depressing, not gonna lie. The kid's annoying, but I also felt bad for him. I was like, this kid's just lonely. Like, he's just genuinely lonely. Mm-hmm. His mom doesn't really have time for him. She's, trying to get back into the dating world with Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, yeah.
His sister's just, vibing with her own friends, and it's, Max is like, there's that line where he's just playing in the snow and he's trying to get his sister's attention. She's like, go play with your friends. And his face when she says that, I was like, oh, this poor kid. Like, where are his friends?
Yeah.
It's a snow day and he's just all alone. It's decent setup. We're giving this character a bit more character development. We're somewhat getting to know who he is, empathizing with him.
But at the end of the day, that's how you have to set up a film.
Of course, but if you look at the original book, I mean, the book is very much based around anger, where the film is more based around...
it's a kid's book. It's like a kid's book.
Look at the kid's book, okay? It's based around anger, and they took this film and based it around sadness, which I love. It's not about anger. It's about this kid just being alone and not knowing what to do and being so imaginative and creative and just kind of being like depressed, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a brilliant beginning, but I did like that moment when he was telling that story to his mom. It's just so
Random.
realistic. It's random.
Yeah.
But randomness works for this film because majority of it is in a kid's head.
Overall, I thought the beginning was pretty weak, just in the fact that it was very predictable, and yes, it's a pretty good setup, but I don't know. The way they did it was predictable and kind of boring, and I also just got super mad at Max because he's annoying. So
Ben went into this film with so much bias, guys.
It's true.
Ben went into this film being like, God damn, child actors, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah, kinda. And I was hoping that he would be, incredible, but the reality is the fact of the matter is there's a reason none of us have heard of Max Records. It's because this is his only film ever.
He wasn't even an actor when they cast him. They just cast this kid because they were like, hey, we couldn't find anyone else, and this kid kind of gets it.
Yeah. I gave the beginning a 2% out of 5.
He went, damn.
Yeah, I there was like nothing about it that really stood out to me as being average. I thought it was below average.
Okay. I thought this was a better beginning than Sing Street. But I give this a 3 out of 5.
Fair enough. That means we're equal now.
We're equal.
Heading into ending, which is also at a 5%. Mm-hmm. I'm giving it extra points because it did make me cry.
Oh, there we go. You always
and
said
I also like that it's not a happy ending. Like it's not him and Carol making up and Carol being like, "Look, I'm sorry that I got mad at you," and then they're like, "Have a happy moment." It's
Carol's
like
just
he
late.
doesn't even get to say that.
Carol's like,
Carol's late, and then he does a strange wolf howl.
Yeah, which is kind of cringy.
It's very cringy. And then Max goes home and hugs his mom. Unrealistic because there's no police at his house. I feel like if I was a mom and my kid ran away in the middle of the night, I would probably call the police, but...
Yeah, but I feel like this happened over the course of like 5 minutes.
Because
everything looks exactly
very well
the
possible.
Same. Yeah.
Very well possible, but where's Mark Ruffalo in that ending?
He just dipped. He was like, "You guys got crazy kids."
He was like, "Yo, you got kid issues, woman. I'm out of here. Your Tinder profile said no kids. I'm gone." Yeah,
this was
I don't know. I thought the ending was nice, and I liked that it didn't have a cliche ending kind of as much as the beginning was, and it did make me cry. So I gave it points for that.
Okay. I'm the opposite here. I thought that this was way more cliche than the beginning.
Well, it's like, what do you want to happen? Do you want him to be, like, stuck?
Yeah, I'd love that. That would have been sick. I wanted it to be way more ambiguous. Like, yeah, I thought the ending was very bland for me. Like, I was like, so your kid runs away, and then you're just like, oh, thank God you're back. I'm going to give you cake. Like, I get that, maybe some parents.
I thought it would have been cool if he was like eating the frozen corn and was enjoying it.
Mm.
Then it would have been like, oh, look, he progressed. Look, character.
Oh, that would have been so cliche. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, if I had ran away from home like that, I would have been like,
I would be beaten.
Like, my parents would have yelled at me. They would have been so pissed. And this mom is just like, "Yay, you're home. Let's have some chocolate cake." Like, what?
Okay, fair enough. I mean, okay. I'm giving the ending extra points because it made me cry. Just one extra point, actually. I gave it a 3% out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Other
I
than that,
do like.
It was okay.
I do like where this film ends. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It ends like on a very like boom kind of note, and the music is good. I mean, the music amplified everything for this film, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm giving it a 2 out of 5. I just thought it was kind of bland.
Fair enough. I'm back. I think I'm so far 1 point ahead of Lucas, but we'll see going into screenplay and dialogue at 8%. This screenplay, it just, I feel like it's kind of an awkward cross between being something deeper and also trying to be a kids movie.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
I feel like it fails at both, and what you have is this like weird thing that I wouldn't have liked when I was a kid and I don't like now. So
Dude,
I really don't know
if
what
this
they were,
film had been
like,
PG-13, oh my god, would it have been good. Like, if they had just, like, scrapped
True.
the whole kids thing and just gone even darker and even more philosophical, like, just get that PG-13
make it
rating.
R, dude. Instead of sand, when
R.
Carol rips off Douglas's arm, it's
Just
like blood and
bloods.
he bleeds out and dies.
Yeah, but an 8-year-old's
And then he
imagination
goes on a
wouldn't be
murderous
R.
rampage.
Dude, let's make an R-rated parody of Where the Wild Things Are.
R-rated parody. Yeah. I just feel like it's very hard to actually look for the deeper message in this film because of how much they kind of try to make it a kids movie with all these just cringy moments. Like, I feel like the message they're trying to go for is sort of like, I don't even really know. It could be more about mental health, like Max's loneliness, or it could be about like a mother-son bond.
Or it's
But,
just, or it just doesn't have a message. It's possible that this
Yeah.
film is more just, it's just trying to show you a snippet of this child's life. Like, I don't think every film has to have a message. 'Cause
That's true,
who cares?
but to be, I mean, I don't, like I said, that's why I just feel confused after watching this film. I just feel like it's hard to sort of, for me to care about Max after the first 15 minutes just because of how kind of uninterested I was in the beginning.
Sure. Like, I think the screenplay, it's not awful in my opinion. Like, I do like how they've written this more as, like, it's a coping mechanism. And I did analyze this film. Like, I was looking at each like, dialogue, each sentence, and I was like, what could that mean in his life? Like, because I was kind of looking at it as this entire thing is a coping mechanism, so everything that's happening to him in this is something that's, like, affected him. And it's, like,
Right.
he's remembering it, and then he's kind of, like, projecting it in order to deal with it. And I think that works, like, especially, like, when they're building that fort and Judith gets mad at him, and he gets mad back at her, and she's like, you can't talk to me like that. Like, that's very much his relationship with his mother and his thought process. Like, if he yells at her and then she yells back, it's like, no, you can't do that. You have to accept me. You have to love me. You can't yell back at me. Like, it's very, like... And yes, okay, the screen, it does go all over the place. But I also felt like that was the point, because it is in a child's head. Like, if you can remember, like, when you had imaginary stuff as a kid, or you were just, you know, being creative, or even just, like, creative writing stories in grade 2 and stuff, they're, like, all over the place. Like, you go from one thing to another way to another, because that's just how kind of, like, children's brains work. And yes, maybe that's kind of weird, watching it in a film, but if you think about it in context, it actually kind of makes sense. I don't think that the only thing that's bringing down this mark for me quite a bit is I just thought the dialogue was kind of, like, not that impressive. Like, there were moments where it got, like, very, like, meaningful, like the son dying thing that I was talking about, or that conversation he has with KW under, like, their pile when they're sleeping. There's moments where the dialogue really hits hard, and it's actually really well written and emotional, but then there's other parts where it's just like, and this also might be the delivery, but it just feels kind of like they're just going
Flat.
through the motions. Yeah, it just feels kind of flat. Like, the dialogue doesn't seem to have a lot of meaning behind it. There's moments where it does, but it just, I feel like they could have worded a lot of things differently in order to just make it a bit more meaningful. But I do have a lot of respect for this screenplay because once again they took a 10-word book, a beloved book, and they were like, yeah, we don't care. We're going to completely change this thing and completely redo everything.
I give it respect for that, but I think overall, kind of what's bringing it down for me is, like you were saying, the dialogue. It's also the acting, but yes, the dialogue is very kind of bland for a lot of it. And I just feel like, yes, it's meant to be a child's erratic mind or imagination, but just for me, that made the pacing of the whole film just feel weird and kind of just confusing to me. Yeah, I guess I wasn't analyzing it hard enough, but for a first-time viewer going in completely blind, I was unimpressed. I gave it a 4% out of 8 for the screenplay and dialogue.
I give it a 5 out of 8.
Nice.
Okay.
Let's move on to a more positive note. The soundtrack. It's a very powerful soundtrack. And
Love
has some great songs.
Love it.
I love the soundtrack. It's a great soundtrack.
So the soundtrack is it's mostly done by Karen O, who's like this very indie musician, and her music's very stylistic, and I love it. It's very like acoustic with very sentimental vibes to it. It's like very melancholy, and it works. This is a soundtrack.
This is a soundtrack I watched or listened to before I even watched the movie. So I already knew the songs before I went in. Not that they're necessarily my favorite songs, but I knew what the soundtrack was going to sound like, and I loved the way they use it.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of this, because I thought the screenplay was weaker, it was the soundtrack that was making the scenes very powerful and kind of hitting me.
Yeah.
Because the dialogue was not necessarily doing it, but the soundtrack was. And I don't know how much there is to say. It's just a great, very indie, powerful soundtrack, and I would totally listen to it. Outside of watching the movie, I even listened to it before I saw it. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I really like how it also kind of sounds like a very childlike, especially the theme is just like
it's like a lullaby.
Humming to this tune, and it kind of sounds like something a kid would just hum to himself. It also, like, all the songs they use throughout the film, you don't think they would work because, it's a Wild Things film. You're expecting a very grand, epic kind of score. Like, that's kind of scary and also, like, happy because it's a huge budget film about where the Wild Things are. You're not expecting this very acoustic, indie kind of soundtrack throughout the whole thing, and that's kind of why I love the style of this film, because it's very not something you would expect. And it's the same person who did the score for her. I mean, Arcade Fire did most of the score, but she did some of the songs, and then it's also Arcade Fire and Karen O again for this film, and her has one of my all-time favorite film soundtracks. And even though I don't think this one is as good, and it's not something that I would listen to all the time, I did listen to it because some of the songs were stuck in my head. I originally had this as 6 because I hadn't listened to it on Spotify, but the next day
there you go.
A couple of them were like really stuck in my head, and I had to go back and listen to them just to like get them out. And
facts.
I just kind of I love it, and it really adds so much emotion to this film. 7 out of 7 for soundtrack.
7 out of 7 for me as well. Let's move on to production design. The production design is pretty good. I mean, the costumes especially.
Costumes, oh my god.
The costumes are phenomenal. And all the set pieces and miniatures, too, are really beautiful.
Yeah.
And very well crafted. They used the 3-year production to their advantage. And just, went full out and really used that budget and just made some really incredible things. And it really is the good part of this film, or the good part of the child's imagination, theme here. The fort.
Yeah.
Even the costumes, because he's imagining them. It's just very incredible what they pulled off. And it's stunning, and honestly, it was what was keeping me going through the second and third acts of this film. When I was kind of running low on will to live, I would look at the fort or something, or just the cinematography, and be like, "Damn, that looks good." Yeah.
It's very impressive, and the costumes themselves, I was looking at the book. The costumes are very much like they are in the book. Like, they've created these characters in a very true to the source material way.
Yeah.
And it's just super cool to me. And I was listening to Spike Jonze, and he said that originally he wanted to do all of this practical, like no CGI. He was gonna make giant animatronic heads that did all of the facial expressions and stuff. And then I guess he's friends with David Fincher, because David Fincher told him that was stupid. And he was like, that's going to cost way too much money. It's going to be like £100. He's like, you're gonna shoot one day and you're going to be a month behind schedule. And Spike Jonze was like, I'm not listening to you. I'm going to do this. And then a month in, they're like, nope, we can't do this. We're scrapping it. We're doing CG like David Fincher told us.
And it took him 3 years even without that. So thank you, David Fincher, for saving us.
I also think the CG is better. I get at the time no one really knew if it could work, because animatronics were just something people used all the time at that point. But CG works really well for this film, because it's just the facial expressions that are CG, and you're able to show so much more emotion with these characters. You're able to see when they're confused, when they're angry, when they're sad.
It would have been the final straw if this was some like Muppet non-moving eyes, just puppet mouth. I would have lost all hope for the film. I would have been like, oh my god, $115 million for this. The CG is thank you.
Yes. Thank you, David Fincher.
Thank you.
But we can't. I feel like I can't give a lesser grade, because the production design is just incredible. Like that dome they build, the fort they build, those little like round bark houses they live in at the start, the fires going on, and even when they were shooting on a set, like on a green screen, they had lots of stuff in the foreground and just really cool set design, and the costumes are just mind blowing. It's a 6 out of 6 easily. Actually,
it's a solid 6.
Yeah, it's a solid 6. It's a solid 6.
Solid 6. Yeah, and let's move on to location selection. I thought the location selection was pretty strong.
Yeah.
They shot this film in Australia,
mostly in Melbourne, but they also shot in the US and Germany.
Yeah. And there are some really beautiful locations on Max's made-up island. Some very great ocean views.
Yeah.
That are just really nice to look at, and it does kind of represent like his happy place in a way.
That beach, like the beach where he sails on.
Yeah.
Like at the end, and where they meet Bob and Terry. That beach is just stunning. The white sand with the green background, and then the ocean. It's just
green.
It's beautiful.
Green bokeh. Yes.
It's like that perfect layer. You got the blue ocean water, and then the white sand, and then the green. It's like Canuck colors, man. Blue ocean water, white sand.
Okay, don't bring the
background.
Canucks into this.
But it's just but it's the color. You know how they just mesh together perfectly. It's like, yes. It's amazing.
True.
You got two cold colors separated by white. That's just that is quality.
Yeah, it's quality. Yeah, they really have some stunning locations. I guess, like, the only, not even a bad thing, but just not necessarily the most beautiful, is the fact that a lot of this is kind of in the forest.
Mm-hmm.
And while, yeah, it's a pretty nice looking forest at the end of the day. Forests are forests, and us being from the Pacific Northwest, like, I'm not gonna be impressed over a couple of trees, Like, I live in a rainforest. I see this all the time. Nah, I mean, like, the location selection is very strong, but a lot of it is in the forest or kind of in the deserty rock plateau
Yeah.
where they built the dome. And they're solid locations, but they're not quite on the same level as the beautiful vistas and beaches that this film also uses.
Mm-hmm. And like I was realizing that my favorite location isn't even a location; it's just green screen. So I was like, when they're walking through that forest with all the cherry blossoms and the cherry blossoms are falling.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh
that
my!
was
Like
green
it's
screen.
just
Where are you gonna
stunning.
find that in Germany and Australia,
I
bro?
know, but like they did, like they did. 1917. They have that scene with all the cherry blossoms. Like they did that.
True.
So I was like, maybe
Yeah.
they actually did, but like they had cherry blossom trees, but then it was green screen. But oh, it was worth it because that is just beautiful. Like oh my god.
Beauty. Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, that's my favorite location, and it's not even a location, so I can't give it full marks. Give it a 5 out of 6.
Facts. 5 out of 6 for me too. Yeah, major respect for making this poor kid fly all around the world. um, yeah, let's take a quick break and then we'll hop back in to cinematography and we'll finish up the review.
Nice.
All right,
Okay.
we're back.
We're back.
Cinematography time at a 10%. This is a very well shot film.
Ooh, yes, it is. I was saying before, I love Spike Jonze's looks in all of his films. I love that they're
Yeah.
they're handheld, they're gritty, but they're beautiful. It's not gritty and dark. It's gritty and like color poppin', nice to look at.
Yeah,
Like her
a
being John
technique he
Malkovich.
perfected with her.
Oh yeah, her
which
is just
after
stunning,
this.
stunning.
But even-
Oh, I really hope we land on her eventually because
Eventually,
love that film.
everybody watch her.
Mm-hmm.
But this film is very beautiful.
Yes, it is.
And it really creates a great mood in the fact that it really does make the whole thing feel like an adventure through a child's imagination. It's also the color grade, but just in general, like you were saying, the handheld way they capture everything,
Mm-hmm.
and the very soft look to the happier moments, like when he's just kind of vibing and playing with the wild things. It's just really sweet, and it just sets a nice mood and atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
It has some very nice chill moments. And I mean, really, with the locations they're using, they didn't have to do much to make, the beaches and the cliffs beautiful,
true.
but it is anyways. And I also want to point out that the actual like storm, the storm scene where Max is like arriving on the island is like really well done.
Yeah.
That's editing too, obviously,
Yeah.
but
Of course.
it impressed me a lot actually.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was very, very well done. And yeah, overall the cinematography is just very beautiful. And while the handheld look is a little shaky, and maybe a bit not my favorite at times, especially when they're, like wrestling with each other and it's very, very shaky. It's not necessarily my favorite look, but I respect their choices. And yeah, overall, I think it's very well shot.
Yeah, like when's the last time you've seen $115 million film shoot their entire film handheld? Like, that's unheard of.
Very, yeah.
Who does that? Like, maybe they'll have a couple scenes, but like, who chooses that as their style where majority of the film is handheld?
Yeah.
I love handheld, like I really do. But the other thing I love me some beautiful lens flares, and there are some great lens flares in this film.
Oh yeah, and some green bokeh. It's full of green bokeh.
And they shoot so many scenes at sundown or sunrise, and that's just golden hours right there.
And it's also a metaphor because of the whole sun dying thing. Don't forget.
Oh yes! Oh my god, I totally missed that.
Yeah. You just gotta watch with more analytical eyes.
Yeah, I think you really do. And just their small uses of color. Like, they have a very, like, green and brown kind of color palette going on. But, like, then they'll just throw in, like, the pink cherry blossoms or those orange flowers that are lining the dome, right? It's just those little things that catch your eye. And it's just, you just need those specks of colors that all of a sudden enhance your cinematography by so much. I really think this is a beautiful film. I mean, yes, there are moments that it's not incredible, like some super shaky handheld at some points, but it's really, really good cinematography. And I think looking at all the films we've done so far, I think this is next to Atonement. Like, Atonement is better, but this is right next to it cinematography-wise.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think Atonement is much more beautiful. Yeah. And I just think overall, like, to get a true 10 out of 10 cinematography, not only do you have to be just beautiful, but you also got to be very creative, kind of, with your cinematography. And that's, I guess, the one thing, like, as well as the handheld, that it could have been a bit better. It's just some more, creative shot choices, but yeah, overall, really, really, really strong. I gave it a 9% out of 10.
Me too.
It's a pretty strong 9.
It's a very strong 9, yeah. 9 out of 10. Great stuff. Moving into editing, another strong category here.
Yeah, the editing was very strong. And obviously, let's just get the VFX out of the way. Yeah. And, the animation and green screens.
Spike Jonze spent an entire year just on the VFX for this film. Like, and he did it almost all by himself. He didn't really have a special effects team with him. It was just him and, like, his brother.
That's major respect. I like load into After Effects and have a aneurysm trying to figure it out. It's so complicated.
Masking all the faces and getting all the mouth movements and the skin, like, pull movements, especially in a time where this was very new. Like, very impressive.
Respect to given a year to do that. And it pays off because the VFX is very solid. And the blend between costume and their face is so smooth.
So smooth.
And it just looks great.
Really.
And I just like the editing in general. The cuts are good and fast paced.
Yeah.
And just the pacing of all the scenes, the editing is great. There's really not much to drag the editing down. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. The editing is really good in this movie. I don't think it's like, when it comes to the actual cuts, there isn't anything super impressive. But it is revolutionary in the fact that this is one of the, like, first films to really majority of the film using those new CG effects, which is super impressive, especially the fact that they didn't really have a whole team working on it. And yeah, it's a pretty fast-paced film, and it keeps up with it through editing, and the cuts are pretty cool. And I do like the shots that they decided to stay on. Sometimes I do wish we had just, like, stayed a little longer on some wide shots, or just left it, just kind of let things play out sometimes.
And you know what? Specifically, they had this insanely nice shot of Max sailing away, and it was that extreme, like, drone wide shot of him in this, and with the sun in the background, and it was just beautiful. And it was like 0.5 seconds with a fade transition on it. And I was like, no,
No.
I want to see that.
Yeah. That was my one thing, is the beginning, there are too many fade transitions. And I get that they're trying to show passage of time, or like
But,
flowing
like, come
into
on.
imagination
Do some
land.
Birdman time lapse
Like,
or something.
Come on. Yeah, like, I don't know. Too many cross dissolves. What'd you give
And
it?
that's because of all the cross dissolves, I had to give it a 2%. No, I gave it 7% out of 8.
Yeah, me too.
It's a very strong 7, but I just don't think it's necessarily perfect. Yeah. Let's move on to acting.
Ooh, this is gonna be a fun one.
Okay. I think the best performance in this film is Mark Ruffalo. And
His
all
one
the other...
line.
It's like, how am I even supposed to...
This film was his audition tape for the Hulk, you know? It was like Jon Favreau and Kevin Feige
Didn't the
saw
Hulk
where
come
the
out in
wild things are.
2008?
No, he was first introduced in the Avengers, which was 2011.
No, The Incredible Hulk is 2008.
Yeah,
dude.
but that's Edward Norton. Mark Ruffalo got recast.
Oh. Also,
I guarantee you, Kevin Feige.
Also, there's the Ang Lee. There's the Ang Lee Hulk from
don't
2003.
talk to me about the Ang Lee Hulk.
What do you
Ang Lee
mean?
Hulk.
What do you mean?
It's so bad. It's like the worst. It's like they tried to be Scott Pilgrim versus... Actually, Scott Pilgrim... When did Scott Pilgrim come out?
Way after that.
Okay, well, then Scott Pilgrim is the better Ang Lee Hulk.
You go from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, arguably...
And Brokeback Mountain.
In my opinion, one of the best action films of all time, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Hulk came out before Brokeback Mountain.
Okay. Well, you know what? Brokeback Mountain is his redeeming, because I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
So much.
Redemption. You go from the Hulk to gay cowboys. Okay. Child acting. Focus.
Okay. Yeah, my standout... Okay, Mark Ruffalo... Okay, that was a joke. Obviously, he's not the standout performance. I think the standout performance is... It's Carol. I mean...
Yeah.
You know, it's James Gandolfini. I mean, he has some good voice acting. I also thought Catherine O'Hara was really good as Judith.
Me too.
She got some edge. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. The voice acting is definitely the highlight for me. The child acting, like, okay, I know I go on record all the time and say I hate child acting, but the child acting here, it's passable. You know, it's okay.
He has moments, and then he also has bad
some
moments.
stronger moments, but at the end of the day, he just his range just isn't very good. He's either like yelling or he's speaking very softly.
Yeah. That's true.
It's not great range. His delivery is very cringy at times. I don't know. It's just it's not good. Child actors are not there yet.
Okay.
Not to say that
there are exceptions.
There are exceptions. Okay, there's always exceptions, but this kid, I'm sorry, Max, but you had your time in the spotlight, but he's just not that great. And I think that unfortunately he drags down the acting category quite a bit for me. Also, the cast is fairly small. A lot of the voice actors have very little lines. A lot of it is Carol and KW kind of carrying the dialogue. But I think all the voice acting is really dragging this mark up, or hoisting it up, or however you want to say it. Yeah. And the child actor is bringing it down.
Yeah.
And there's really not anything else. Like, even Mark Ruffalo can't really save it from the impending doom of
not even Spike
casting
Jonze
a
as Terry and
12-year-old.
Bob.
Okay,
he was 9.
He was 9.
Yeah. It's like I also think it's impressive though that all of these actors like Forrest Whitaker, Paul Dano, Catherine O'Hara, they all got into those costumes and just trekked around.
Yep, I
'Cause
agree.
that's them
That
in the
is
costumes. I mean,
respect.
respect. I can't imagine those being like
Sanitary.
breathable or breathable. Like they must have been so hot wearing those. Oh my god.
And the actor who plays Carol is a big man. Let's not forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a big dude, so props. But yeah, what did you give acting?
I gave acting a 6 out of 10.
Same
I
here.
didn't think. Yeah,
6%.
I thought it was a little above average, but
Yeah,
just not. Not there. Not there.
not there. Not there. All right, let's move into entertainment value. Out of 10%, I don't know. I think my mind state going into this film was not the best, and I just really didn't fully get enveloped into this film. And while I was impressed with the technical aspects, I just think a lot of the, fundamental creative aspects to this film just kind of lost me, and I wasn't really that interested in Max or in his journey. So I think this was one of the first films of our list that we've watched that I have been genuinely bored during. I think especially during the scenes like the mud or the dirt fight scene. Like that's supposed to be, this high energy moment of the film, but I don't know, it just wasn't bringing my energy up for me.
Okay.
And call it bias, but at the end of the day I just wasn't that entertained by this film, and it was pretty long. An hour and 40 minutes. That's
not that long.
It's not that long, but I felt like it was a bit longer than it needed to be. There's like a 5-minute scene of them just running around the forest destroying trees.
I like that scene.
And then ending up, sleeping in a pile. I don't know. It seems like that where I was just kind of like, okay, can we speed it up a bit? Obviously it wasn't the worst. It's not like I was on my phone, but I don't know. It wasn't doing it for me. This film wasn't entertaining me.
Okay. What'd you give it?
I gave it a 6% out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think this film, okay, like it's entertaining to a certain extent. Like I had fun watching it, but there were definitely moments where I was just like, especially the slower moments in this film, unfortunately because it's a PG film, the dialogue just isn't very interesting and it doesn't captivate you. It's very much like, as a child, maybe you'll find it more entertaining, but for me, it's just like the dialogue and like scenes, it's not that much fun to watch. But I was enjoying this film. Like I sat there and I watched it and I was like having some fun with it. I really liked all the wild things and I just thought it was kind of cool. Cinematography was really like bringing it up for me. I found this more entertaining than Enemy. And I know that sounds weird, but like I don't know. I find this like entertainment wise, it's like pretty good. Not amazing, but I give it a 7 out of 10.
Fair enough. I respect that. You're into kids movies, it's all good. I'm into the big boys stuff like Enemy. We have our differences. I'm taking, some points off just because I don't think I'll watch this again. Rewatch value, I feel like, is a part of entertainment value, and I will not watch this film again, unfortunately. Maybe one day, but definitely not in the near future.
Sure.
Let's move on to overall technical achievement, though. I think technically this is a very strong film.
Very strong.
and it's also very innovative with all the technology it's, you know, kind of introduced, and the technology that it really almost mastered before it was cool. You know, they did VFX and tracking before it was hip.
Yeah.
And they did it really well. And the cinematography is great, the editing is great. Like overall, the technical side of this was what was really impressive to me while watching this, and it's what's bringing my score a lot higher than it may sound like I kind of rated this film. I mean, yes, the budget is huge, but you know, they made it work. Like, this isn't me kind of looking at this budget and being like, damn, like, really, $115 million and all they came up with was that? I'm like, yeah, they used that budget well, and they really, you know, pushed technology forward and created a stunning film. So major props to Spike Jonze for that.
Yeah, I mean, looking at my technical kind of grades, they've all gotten either full marks or just one off. And I feel like to get that full technical achievement, you got to get all of them as full marks. But the
question is, will that ever happen?
Will that ever happen?
Maybe.
But it's
maybe
pretty solid. You know? 14 out of 15.
I gave it a 13% out of 15.
What? What brought it down to a 13?
I don't look at it like, okay, well, if this is one lower and then this is one lower. I'm just looking at overall, technically speaking. But
if all of your technicals are full marks or one low, how does it all of a sudden
it's like
become
the cinematography is like a low 9. The editing is like a low 7. It's if you want me to make it a 14, I can, but
no, you can keep it at 13. Feeling a little biased there, Ben.
Yeah. Hey, this is 50% my podcast. I can do whatever I want. I give the technical achievement a 10, and there's no one to stop me. But I gave it the 13. Let's tally up our scores, our biased scores. We'll take a quick break though, and then we'll come back with our scores, and we'll spin the wheel to figure out which film we'll be watching next week.
Okay, we're back. We've tallied up everything. Let's hear it, Ben. What was your overall score for Where the Wild Things Are?
Total percentage for Where the Wild Things Are is a 76% from me. That's higher than Sing Street, and, you know, just below Enemy. And it's really the technical aspects bringing this way up for me. In a lot of aspects, I thought this was the least impressive film so far. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm not going to be judging this or, you know, looking at the score in the same respect I would look at a Good Will Hunting or a Children of Men. You know, I'm not taking this film that seriously. So I think the score is fine and well deserved. Yeah.
Yeah, like I went into this film thinking it was gonna be like my first in the '60s kind of film. Because
same.
I don't
honestly.
know. I didn't remember it being that well. Like, once again, I don't remember anything from this film, but it was surprisingly not as bad as I was expecting it to be. It was actually pretty decent.
True.
We're close. I gave it a 77%. I think that only it was just that technical achievement, you know. You gave it that 13. Hey.
Yeah. And I thought the ending was better because I cried.
Dude,
it's proof that I can not like a film and still cry.
That's true. That's crazy. Our last few films, we've been really close. I mean, Enemy, Where the Wild Things Are, Good Will Hunting. Like, we're starting to get on the same brainwave here.
Yeah. And I think it's also because we're not these are films that either we've only seen once before or it's kind of like our first viewing. Like
Yeah.
stuff like Brazil, where I'm like, that's like one of my favorites. That's like Lucas has never seen before. Is obviously going to be much further apart. Yeah, or The Place Beyond the Pines is like the reverse of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's spin that wheel. I'm excited for next week. Hopefully we can get a real film with real actors.
Whoa.
I'm joking.
Are you calling Mark Ruffalo not a real actor?
Okay, fair. Dude, what if we get a Mark Ruffalo? What if we get Birdemic?
Or The Room?
That'd be kind of hype.
Oh, I can't wait to put cats on this wheel now.
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
Okay, and we are spinning in 3, 2, 1, and we're spinning. Okay, what is it gonna be?
Whoa.
Whoa. Our first Martin Scorsese film coming right up.
Ooh.
Raging Bull.
Oh. Ooh, okay, this is what we needed. We needed a classic, a true classic for our for the podcast.
Okay, I'm
Raging
gonna be
Bull.
honest. I've never seen Raging Bull.
Really?
And I am a huge Martin Scorsese fan. But for some
I've
reason...
only seen it once.
For some reason, I've never seen this one. Even though I've seen like every other Scorsese film.
Obviously, the transformation De Niro had to make for this.
No, I don't. I literally know nothing about this film.
Really?
I've only seen the boxing match. That's all I've seen from this film.
Well, you should know that it won an Oscar for Best Actor in a Lead Role.
Okay, let's go De Niro.
And Robert De Niro became fat for it.
Nice. Pulling
So, yeah, I'll pull up the... also, I think it could... Oh, no. It had a larger budget than Taxi Driver. It had, like, $18 million budget.
Okay.
I've pulled up the plot summary here. A middleweight ascends through the ranks to achieve his first shot at a boxing title, but his personal life, laden with paranoia, jealousy, and rage, scuttles his professional growth.
Whoa.
Released in 1980, directed by Martin Scorsese, won an Oscar, and it's starring Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Scorsese himself, and Frank Vincent is also in it. Yeah,
This is our
super excited.
Oldest film, 1980.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch a true, Scorsese classic. We'll see you guys next week. Ooh, and the film we'll be adding to the wheel this week, if we go to the bottom of the list here, is Boy Erased. Make sure you guys send us questions and films you want to see on the wheel at our Instagram, or you can email us. And we'll see you next week with Raging Bull.
Thank you for listening to Slightly Qualified Film Students.
Make sure to tune in next week for a new film discussion and review.
Our theme song is Slightly Sexy by Thompson Springs.
Make sure to subscribe and leave us a like.
Send us feedback and comments as well as your thoughts on the film. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at S_Q_F_S.
If you would like to send us a question or a comment for next week's episode, you can email us at sqfilmstudents@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.